it's so...
Great day to play. Great day to play.
It's so crazy just because I remember after doing the second interview when we did the Zach Sang show. So when we did the Zach Sang show, they talked a lot about like how fast that rise happened, right? And then what happened obviously with the dance practice where they took off finally. And it's just so crazy because it's such a short timeline. And COVID did do that for a lot of people. It did it for channels. I think that a lot of the reason that our channel was successful early on was because there were a lot more people home to watch. And but like just that kind of success in that short a period of time, I think it just really, really goes into the amount to show the amount of work that they actually put in to be able to do that, but not just to be able to do it, but to be able to handle it once it gets there. Because I think that there's a lot of misconception. Like people watch content creators or musicians or celebrities or actors, like whatever it might be, right? People watch them. They're like, I want to be that person. Like, you know, if only I could do that, right? And a lot of times I think that they want the money that comes along with it or the fame that comes along with it. There's all kinds of reasons, but especially like in content creator world where people are looking at these people who just seem like normal people, right? Like if you watch big YouTuber, you know, if you're really into gaming stuff, the Markipliers, the PewDiePies, the Jacksepticeye's, like the really, really big YouTubers, it's like, seems so easy on the surface. It's like, oh, this guy's just sitting in front of a camera playing a game. Like I could do that. But there's so much that goes into it. There is the development phase. There is, you know, doing live streams and connecting with your audience. There's taking care of all these different social media sources, which I'm terrible at. Like I have a really, really hard time keeping up with all that. There's editing. There's all of this stuff that goes into it. And even if you were to grow that fast, so many people are not prepared for it. And I just remember, you know, during the Twitch days when like we'd go to like raid somebody, we'd always have to like be careful, like if we had like a large stream, because you don't necessarily want to bring that onto somebody who isn't prepared for it, because they either freak out or they don't know what to do with it or they can't handle chat. And so it's the impressive part of all of this isn't just that they rose so quickly, it's that they were able to adapt to that rise so quickly while remaining humble. And I think that that's where a lot of groups lose it. That when they get somewhere really, really quickly, they kind of get this almost like an air about them of kind of like arrogance. And it's just like, well, we're so good. Like, we're just so good. Look at how fast we grew. Like, we're better than everybody else. And it feels like even though that they did rise really, really quickly, like that never happened to them. Like they never felt that way or thought that way or presented themselves that way and just kept working harder and harder. So I don't know. It's just very, 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 very cool to see. Justin was the creative director for what? Okay. He's the creative director for like all of them, right? Can we call you Kuya? I don't know what that means. You'd have to tell me what that means. And it really though, what it goes into to show is like, because they all have a hand in it, right? Like they all do it. You have Stell doing a lot of their choreography. Pablo's producing a lot of their music. And I know that Josh and Ken, he talked about it, but like have a hand in helping out with that. And then you have a member that's actually producing their videos. Like it's all done on its own. Kyu means older brother. I don't mind that if that's what you wanted to do. It's like Hyung in Korean. Yeah, I'm cool with that. That's what you guys want. I'm down. All right, let's continue.
Moments tayo sa TM na pini-playback ni Pablo yung kanta. Tapos, naalala ko na nasa holding air tayo, tapos tinugtog or kinanta niya yung snippet nung what. So, from the time that you wrote the song to the time that it was released, gaano yung level ng fulfillment mo na ganun yung kinalabasan nung baby mo? Kasi ikaw ang sumulat nun.
For me, katulad din siguro ng meaning ng kanta. Sinasabi kasi doon na you need to be proud of yourself. You need to be proud of what you do for you to be able, or you need to love yourself for you to be able to project the whole potential of yourself. Parang ganun yung sinasabi ng kanta. And ako, every time na gumagawa ako, syempre, nanghihingi ako ng mga opinion galing from the members. And yun, parang kino-consider ko lahat yung mga sinasabi nila. And parang para marinig or para makadinig ng mga puri sa mga tao na tinitingala namin, sa mga tao na sumusuporta sa amin, or talagang sinasabi nila at kinikwento nila na grabe, nakaka-inspire yung message nung what. Sobrang fulfilled na talaga kami doon. Kami, hindi lang ako personally, kami talagang lahat, sobrang fulfilled kami doon. Kasi talagang pinaghirapan talaga namin yun. Hindi kami nag-stop hanggat hindi kami nasa-satisfied dun sa ilalabas namin. And talagang binuhos namin doon. So, sobrang thankful kami sa lahat ng natuwa at sumuporta dun sa kanta na yun. Grabe.
Yeah.
Thank you sa inyo lahat.
So,
what is really one of those songs that grew on me so much over time? And because I just remember listening to it for the first time, and I went back and was kind of like watching it, and like I still feel to this day like it's such a powerful song. It's not a good introductory song to them if you're just coming into it to like be able to feel the music, right? Because a lot of times what people want is like the normal pop song, right? They're not used to a longer music. If you're outside of the K-pop, P-pop sphere, J-pop sphere, right? A lot of the music that we do here in the West is so short. I mean, songs are literally less than 2 minutes now. It's getting crazy. It's getting crazy that like, and some of those songs, I heard a song the other day, it was like a 1:58 song. And the song itself, like the intro was like 20-30 seconds of the song, and the outro was like, so the song itself was like literally a minute. It was just insane. But that's kind of what we're used to. And so when you take a longer song like that and you split it up where like that song really has a lot of differences in it, it's not on the first listen, I think it's a lot harder for somebody to get into. But once you know more about them and you learn about the song's meaning and you learn about the story, like I have such a great appreciation for not just the story behind the song now, but the musicality of the song going back now and understanding more about them, because it fills in a lot of the blanks. And it's interesting. So we have this artist that we're working with recently that he just started out as kind of like somebody that was coming into the studio, and we're moving forward with him. We're actually gonna be partnering with him and being like a publisher for him, and we're working on an entire album now, and we're really excited. But one of the things that I had been talking about with him recently was about song palatability, of like what not necessarily makes a song from good to great, but what makes it a popular song. And I'm not necessarily talking about pop music. I'm just talking about how do you get it to stick with people. And he's a rap artist and unbelievably talented. He's a really, really good lyricist. But a lot of the stuff when he first started coming in and working with us, a lot of his stuff was very like, there was no hook, there was no chorus. It was very, very story driven. And it was really, really, it was really cool to work with him and hear that because of what he was able to do. But none of the songs would stick with you because there was nothing to latch onto, right? Like it was just 2.5-3 minutes of this story. And the problem when artists start is oftentimes, like a lot of times we want to tell our story, right? Like the reason that we're so, as a musical artist, as a singer, as a songwriter, the reason that we're so, motivated by music a lot of times is because we have something to share, and music is our outlet, right? For some people, their outlet might be painting to get their story out. For some people, it might be poetry, right? Writing. Like there's all kinds of different ways that we use outlets. So as an artist, it's really hard to do that because sometimes what we want to tell as a story is a very, very complex story that's an individual story for us. But a lot of times audience listening, they can't really relate to that. So we have to break that story down into a more palatable form that they can understand. Sometimes that means making the words simpler, or the verses simpler, or the choruses simpler. Like there's a lot to do where we try to then instead take our story to make a popular song. You try to take your story and break it down so people can kind of interpret it the way they want, instead of it being like really, really specific and about you and your life in a specific moment in your life. Like that's what kind of, if you've taken songwriting classes or anything like that, that's what they talk about, right? Until you get to be big. Once you've become big, once you have a name and people already know you, then you can start making music like that, because now people already know you, and so they want to hear more about what you have to say, if that makes sense. So you can make songs like that because people already know you. Now they're interested in your full story as opposed to the snippets of your story. And so it's just kind of interesting seeing that. And as Lucas and I have started working more and more together over the years, of kind of transferring our own way of seeing music to that as well, of the understanding that like you need to be able to give some people something palatable first to reel them in, and then once they're reeled in, you can tell them whatever story that you want to tell them. And I see that, and I think what is a good example of that, like what was an earlier on song, they still had I think a little bit of notoriety though for people to want to listen to it, but it hit so much harder once you know the story and want to know more, versus a song like Where Ya At or Mana, right? Which is just very, very visceral, upfront, in your face, really, really catchy hook, easy to sing, right? Like all of those things combined make that the much more palatable, popular song. It's just kind of interesting seeing that, because I've been going through this with one of our artists. So it's very interesting. There's a difference between self-expression and relatability in music. 2G, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, there definitely is. And it's not just about, people want to be able to relate to you, but if you go too deep, they can't. I don't know if that makes sense, right? And we find this all oftentimes too in like hip hop. Because the genre, it's a lot faster. There's a lot more words that generally go into it. And so, and a lot of times these are self stories, but you still have to find a way to make the lyrics resonate with everybody and not just specific people that may have not been going through your story, if that makes sense. But you know what is supposed to be a live stream performance, it was already set, but COVID took it. Well, and it makes sense because it's such a live song. It's such a live performance type song. Just on principle. Do not refer to him as Backflip Guy. Have I read Pablo's pin post on Twitter? Is that one where he talks about being an idol, or like not wanting to be an idol? I don't remember which one that is. What sounds very Filipino because of the marching beat on the chorus, same as the national anthem of the Philippines, which is a marching song. For them to project the main goal of SB19 to promote Filipino music, just my opinion. Well, and I mean, the whole song is like each verse is about self-expression. It's about them telling their story, right? And it makes complete sense. What you refer? I don't know. That's whatever works for you. Kind of like books now. Kids have a short attention span, hence the book chapter only has to be less than 3,000 words. Society has really, really changed, and it's changing everything that we do.
Pablo, you were talking about the meaning of the song. Pero curious ako, ano yung naging inspirasyon niyo? What drove you? What pushed you to actually come up with the song that's directly inspirational?
Kasi yung grupo namin, meron talaga kaming ultimate goal. And that is for the Filipino talent to be known all over the world. And yun, katulad nga nang sinasabi ko.
So he must have had a lot of noise in the background. He's got a really, like, I don't know if you can hear when he's talking. It almost sounds like there's a like kung, 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 kung kind of sound going on. And they have like a pretty strong like noise gate. He must have had a lot of noise going on in the background. And so they're trying to cut that noise out. It just makes a really, really weird effect on your ears.
Interconnected kasi yan. Katulad sinasabi ko sa previous interviews namin na like iba't ibang countries nag-focus yan sa different things kaya sila kilala sa isang bagay. Yeah. So I think sa sobrang talented ng mga Pinoy, sobrang daming talented na Pinoy talaga na sa tingin ko pag nag-focus tayo dito sa craft natin na to at talaga namang binigay natin, binuwas natin sa lahat na yung energy resources natin doon, feeling ko we can reach new heights talaga eh. Yeah. Feeling ko makikilala talaga tayo sa buong mundo. Tsaka bukod sa talent, iba yung puso ng Pinoy. Iba yung puso ng Pinoy. Kasi alam mo, ang daming, sa totoo lang, ang hirap dito sa Pilipinas, ang hirap mabuhay sa Pilipinas. Pero no matter what happens, yung mga Pinoy nakangiti pa rin yan. Makikita mo yung drive nila. Makikita mo yung passion nila na mabuhay to survive. And kami, gusto namin na i-share sa mga tao yung mga experiences namin sa buhay kasi we feel like kailangan nila yun. Lalo na sa panahon ngayon ng pandemya. Maraming pinanghihinaan ng loob, maraming gustong sumuko sa buhay. Parang kanta namin, parang we're here to remind them that they don't need to be afraid. We're all in this together and we can get through this in time. Talaga darating yan sa atin. Kailangan lang natin maniwala at darating ang mga blessings.
Yeah. Maniwala.
Yeah, it's so funny. You can really, really you can really tell like he's such just like a born leader. You know, some people just have that trait. It's like it's in the vocabulary, it's in the way that they talk, it's in the way that they present concepts. You know, like you can just tell so much about how they're used to caring and taking care of others, and that kind of like comes out in everything that they do. And Pablo, like the more and more that I listen to him talk, he just kind of it's funny. Okay, so somebody just said like I briefly brought this up in the Zach Sang interview. So for those of you who are, you know, Army and 18, you know, you'll notice that like one of the reasons that I actually started really getting into BTS wasn't because of their music, it was because of their story. And it's the same reason that SB19 is pulling me in. It's their story and the way that they tell their story, and it kind of bucks the system, and they don't necessarily do the traditional things that would be popular. They do things to be able to tell a story through what they think is the correct story to tell. And once I started learning more and more about their music and learning that RM had such a big hand in production of everything and writing and lyrics and how much symbolism went into that, I had such this amazing appreciation for him as a leader, him as a writer, him as a composer, that there was so much there. And it's funny because the more and more that I learn about Pablo, like I see those almost exact same traits in Pablo as well. Just like the way that he approaches subjects, the way that he answers questions, and the way that he thinks about them, the way that he approaches music, some of the things that he talks about, and even in his solo performance that we watched, like it's just there's a lot of other things that are like going on in his head that just kind of go above and beyond what, you know, the average person is going to do. And it's very interesting to see, and it makes so much sense though of why I'm drawn to SB19 because of that. So the electric fan is what I was saying though is the reason it keeps going in and out, Gigi, is because there's a noise gate on it. So every single time that he opens his mouth to talk, the noise comes through, and then when he stops talking, it goes away, and that's a noise gate. So it gives that effect of the whoosh, 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 because it's not consistent, because they're trying to cut some of that noise out.
Darating ang mga
Oo. Parang ano no? Hindi ako nagtataka kung bakit